when did the process begin that you wanted this role, and how long ago did it start?
Well, probably 6 or 7 weeks ago, I suppose. It was, I think it was a couple of weeks after the season finished. Obviously, David was announced that he was going to Brisbane, and so we got through our end of season reviews and planning, and then I had went through a formal process and sat down with a selection committee and went through that, and I guess it's evolved from there. As Fags does, he's very thorough and does his due diligence, which is great. It's certainly one of the reasons I returned to the footy club was because from afar I could see that with Fags and the senior management that they genuinely go through a process now where they want to find the best people for those senior roles, and so that was no different with my role. So I went through that process, and it wasn't really until in the last few days that I found out that I had the role. So a thorough process, and I guess I was held out for a while, but really excited by the opportunity.
When did you know you wanted to be the head of footy? Yeah.
I guess I've always had, probably in the last 3 or 4 years, I've had aspirations, and I've done parts of the role in my previous role at Brisbane at different times, and so probably my aspirations were in the next few years, no cap on when, and obviously it's arrived early, but I feel like I'm really well placed to take up the role and take up the challenge.
Having only been here for 12 months, were you surprised that you got the role? Not surprised. No. I think without speaking out of school, I think I'm well positioned to do the role. I think I've got a broad background. Obviously, played the game for 12 years, high performance role for 6 years. But within that, I've been president of the Players Association, sit on the laws of the game at AFL House for the last 3 years, and as I said, when I went to Brisbane, it was a unique opportunity because when I arrived, there was a change in CEO, no footy manager, no high performance managers, and so I was kind of in the footy department for a little period there. So I've had experience in doing parts of the role, as I said before. So I guess it's always. A surprise in a little way in terms of that I finally got the role, and that you never know what's out in the marketplace, but also really proud and really looking forward to the opportunity.
What do you think you bring to the role, Brett?
Yeah, well, I think you're just that well-grounded skill set, having played the game. I think that is, certainly helps. But being involved with high performance, clearly we're in a high performance industry, and so that goes across coaching, goes across list management, and then even the administration area as well. So I think that helps, and my relationships with the AFL, I've got good relationship there, having my involvement with the Players Association, but also the laws of the game. So I think that's probably the experience and skill set that I bring.
What's your first order of business when you walk through this door after this?
Well, pretty much get my feet under the desk for a start. I haven't even moved office yet, so I've got to sort that out. But not that that's really a priority. But we've got a really strong footy program. We've won 16 games this year. We've got. A senior coach that's done a great job in his first year, and a playing group that's really exciting. So really it's just about continuing to build on the strong foundations we've got at the moment. So clearly I need to touch base with each individual in the footy program. Clearly know them all, which helps and is a good start. But just getting to understand their challenges and priorities. But really, it's just about continuing to work with the department heads and build on what's already a strong foundation.
Would it have been beneficial if the appointment had been made, say, before the trade period, so you could have been part of those
discussions there of, of course, talking to clubs and obviously more specifically, the Bryce Gibbs deal that didn't obviously come off?
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, the reality is, in my role as high performance manager, I wasn't across that, and we've got a very good list management team, and we're I guess really fortunate in the fact that we've got guys like Mark Rasciuto and Justin Reid and Hamish Ogilvie, and then obviously the the senior coach and Andrew Fagan that sit on that committee. So really talented people, robust discussion there. So at this point in time, I really can't add a whole lot more. I guess what I bring in the future is, once I get across that area, is my relationships with the players that are really strong at the moment. So I look forward to adding into that and adding some value, and obviously just another cog in the wheel. So there's certainly no rush to get to the process, and I think with all due respect, from Fagan's point of view, it was really important that we took the time to find the best person for the role. So, those guys are, when you get to trade period and you get to draft period, Justin and his team have been working for 12 months on that. So it's really nothing else I could add to it at that time in time.
Just on that relationships of players,
yep.
You were known as one of the nice guys of footy when you were playing. Being head of football, you're probably going to have to be making some pretty tough calls.
Yep.
Do you think you've got that in you? Are you too nice to be a head of football?
Well, in the PD as fitness coach, you need to be a bit of a prick. So I've developed that capability over the last 6 years. So no, it won't be an issue. Look, I think any tough discussion is built on relationship and the development of trust within two people or within a group. So I think that's the base of any discussions, is that you've got that trust and the people know that your discussion comes from a good place and what's best for not only the individual but best for the team. That's not an issue at all. So I think that just comes down to constant dialogue. So no, not phased about having those discussions.
You talked about the list briefly before. How do you see it? Obviously, you haven't added to it outside of the draft coming up. For next year.
I see it as really exciting. I mean, we're obviously demographically a young list compared to AFL averages. Really exciting talent across all areas. Defence, forward, and midfield. Clearly, we need to improve. We didn't win the premiership this year, so it's a challenge for us. But having said that, we've got some really exciting young guys coming through, whether it's Miller or Wigg, Cam Ellis-Yeoman, guys like Lever are going to progress even more, McGovern. So I think we've got a really talented list that can take us to the next step. And in a couple of weeks' time, we get the opportunity to go to the draft and add to our pool of talent, which was always our philosophy and always our plan going into the trade period and even coming out of it. So. Very confident with where we're at, and it's just going to require hard work from the high performance team, the coaching team, to develop our players and get them to a level that can mix it with the best.
Just on the coaching team, do you see that changing? Have you got any thoughts on what needs to happen?
No, that's we're set for 2017. So really capable coaching group that Pikey's pulled together. Obviously added Nathan Van Berlo on, which I think is a great appointment. Clear, a guy of outstanding character, former captain of the footy club, but also really good that you have someone that's just finished playing the game. I think, as you get older and further away from playing, whether you're in the high performance area or the coaching or even in this role, you can lose touch of the modern generation and what I call the why generation, because they want to know why on everything. So I think it's really good to have guys that are not far out of the game in your coaching panel. So, certainly no changes outside of Nathan and joining us.
Brett, coming mainly from a fitness background, are there any areas in which you need to sort of take on a crash course, so to speak?
Crash course? Well, administratively, you've got to be, I guess, highly organised and across, the systems and processes of everyday workings within an AFL club. So, it's probably just getting myself up to speed on some of the processes, regarding, list lodgement and all that kind of stuff. But, we've got, as I said, Justin Reid that heads up that area. It's just a learnt thing. It's not necessarily you don't have to be a rocket science to know it. It's basically just experience. So yeah, nothing there I see as a challenge that's unreachable. It's all just really educating myself and getting across it.
What can you tell us about the new fitness coach?
Yep. So Matt Haas, we actually, he's been the fastest promotion in history. So he's been here for a week and been elevated from head of strength to obviously general manager of high performance. And in fact, I think one of his mates texted him that at this rate he'd be Prime Minister of Australia by Christmas time. So he's on a quick elevation. Look, Matt's comes from Brisbane. I obviously worked with him there for 5 years. He's I guess highly respected within the industry. He's been offered the high performance role previously, and also other roles at other clubs. And I guess we're in the fortunate position that through my relationship with him and through his experience in Brisbane over the last couple of years, not really I guess enjoying the environment there, that we got the opportunity to bring him on as a strength coach. And we certainly still went to internally checked the marketplace in terms of what was around, and he just stacked up as the best candidate. So we're really excited by him coming in, and given what I know of him, and really confident that Matt will step into that role and fulfil it, and add his own elements to the program and take it to a new level.
Is there anyone else from Brisbane you'd like to coach?
Well, let me see. There might be a few players we could try and get across. No. Tom Rockcliffe. Look, we certainly, I guess there was plenty of commentary around Tom last year. Reality was he was, had a year to go on his contract. I wasn't across those discussions. I simply said to Nobes, I think at the time, that I think that he's an outstanding character, and obviously been a previous All-Australian, so he can clearly play the game. And through whatever circumstances, he hasn't reached his potential this year, but certainly a guy of good character and can play the game. So yeah, that's about all the information I passed on.
But what do you think? You mentioned the improvement before that you need after 2 years of the same sort of results. Where do you think the improvement comes from, given that the list is fairly similar?
I think it's just across the board. I mean, Pikey often talks about continual improvement, and we clearly operate in an environment and an industry that you need constant improvement, because everyone's very level in terms of the draft and even the soft cap now. So it's just improvement across the whole board. We've played an exciting brand of footy last year, and the highest scoring team in the competition. So clearly we can kick a score, but when we get to the final against Sydney, we weren't able to restrict, but then also score effectively as well. So, it comes down to our midfield, it comes down to our forwards, and being able to, transfer those inside 50s into goals, but also our defenders being able to hold forward as well. So, it's never one area; it's across the board. And I think they're, with Pikey being here for 1 year, clearly a really good improvement in 1 year to win 16 games of footy. But it also goes to show that the competition's so even, and that I think we're the first team in history to win 16 games and finish outside the top 4 because it's so even. Now it's about taking those opportunities, and if you look at it, the team we played on that night, Sydney, they've just been there year after year after year after year, and I think we'll be better for the experience, but some areas that internally we look at, and from an individual point of view and also a team point of view that we think we can improve on.
Well, from an individual point of view, the midfield gets talked about a lot.
Yep.
A few of those, you've lost a couple of blokes. Who sort of steps up? Who do you single out?
Yeah, well, I think Cam Ollisholman, through lack of opportunity, but due to our injury rate this year, has immediately gets an opportunity to throw his name up with Jared Lyons leaving. I think we saw Charlie Cameron really play a good final series, and he played some time on the wing. You guys got guys like Harrison Wigg, who's starting to come through into his third year of footy. Wayne Miller is going to go into his second year of footy, and he'll be better for his first year, and has got the capability from a tank point of view, but also a skill set point of view to step up into the midfield. You've got other guys like Paul Seesman, who was injured towards the end. So I think there's plenty of scope for guys to step up and take the opportunity, and we're certainly excited by by who we've got on the list at the moment.
Is that an area at pick 13 you probably look at, maybe Boston, that midfield group?
Yeah, definitely. It's an option. I mean, our long-held philosophy, has always been to trade for need and draft for talent. So, we'll go to the draft and pick the best player there. Whether that's a midfielder, a forward, a defender. I think, you can always, history shows that you pick the best player, then, whatever area they come from. If you've got too many midfielders at the end of the day, I think GWS went through a period where they had too many of what, and they just trade out and get what they need in. So our philosophy is always just to pick the best talent there. So if that's a midfielder, it's a midfielder, but time will tell.
So one final one, Brett. Yep. How much interest did the Crows have in Michael Barlow?
We had preliminary discussions with Michael, and that's pretty much where it ended, really. Yeah, just initial discussions with him, and then his decision was to go to the Gold Coast. So, any time that a player flags the possibility of coming to South Australia, clearly you're going to entertain those discussions. But it really was preliminary, and it didn't go further than that.